What's up, family? Welcome to the Chip Off the Old Block podcast. I'm your host, CJ Matthews, here with the notorious
CJ M. That's right. Hey, it's a great day. This is Thursday, October 8th.
Yeah.
Oh, so something happened on October 7th?
Well, it was the great debate part 2.
Yeah.
I got a chance to tune in, although I almost missed it. Had some stuff going on last night, but I did get a chance to tune in. And what I didn't tell you is we got our first guest. Our first guest just so happened to be, I guess as Mom called it, the star of the debate. None other than the infamous Fly.
Is a great insult. Insult.
Yeah, I really want to respect the Vice President and respect Senator Kamala Harris, soon to be prayerfully Vice President Harris. I really want to respect them and the content of the debate, but come on, man.
Yeah.
My sister keeps telling me, and I'm like, I have a professional. You can't be laughing at your own stuff. She's one of them stage people. And I'm like, oh, is that a rule? I've never followed any rules in my life.
Right.
But I'm like, come on. This is just, I know God didn't bring the fly on his head.
Yeah, some people was calling it locust.
And I'm like, but God, thank you.
Man,
I thank the Lord for everything. And good things and bad things, fly things.
I don't know you're not really on social media, but man, if you could see some of the memes, I know you've seen a little bit, but man, I mean, the internet, they say that the internet is undefeated for a reason. Because when I tell you the creativity of these people and the timing, it's like, man, this just happened 30 seconds ago and y'all already on it.
I told your mother because and to our audience, one of these days I'm gonna figure the social media thing out. But anyway, I told your mom she was trying to figure out something. I said, baby, the kids already got that stuff and these tech people. I said, I guarantee you already. It was about it was while the fly was still on his head.
Yeah.
I'm like, these folk out there, I can guarantee you, if I knew how to dial into what they putting out there, it's out there, baby. Because these, the joy of that is that, you can become a caricature. The challenge of that, rather, is that you can become a caricature or a meme in a matter of seconds.
Oh, yeah.
And the other great thing about it is that folk just get to say and do what they want in cover.
100%.
I mean, right now we spend the day beating up people, for doing some stuff like that. So it's really, the good thing, the really good thing I thought, because, the Bible says all things work together for the good. So I would say, well, Lord, how do I find the good in this? Because I really, care for the Vice President. And I'm like, oh, man, well, he's about to be unemployed in a couple months. So, I mean, now he'll have a job. He'll have a job in Hollywood. He can play Fly 3. I don't know what machine they're going to put him in the fly in there if they can find that original fly. Because I don't know if every fly works or if it's just a fly. I'm just not sure. So, I don't know. But I just felt like that was a redemptive moment for all of my biblical values, people. That was very redeeming.
Yeah. People was calling them plagues and all of that. So.
Oh, yeah. It was, and I mean, with all due respect to the debate, I asked this, I wish I'd have found out of 17-year-olds, since I have access to 17-year-olds and 12-year-olds and 10-year-olds through my grandchildren and their friends, I try to find out their perspective. And the one reaction I got from them was civil. And,
What's that?
So that civil.
No. Yeah. I'm saying, what was it?
Yeah, that was civil. They said it was civil.
Oh, that you mean the debate overall?
Yeah,
I thought you was talking about the fly.
Yeah. But then there was comments about that too. But debate was civil. So in their world, they're comparing the two. So this one was civil, then that one was a riot. The other one, because all the civil unrest in our community by that group is being compared to riots. So that means that the president was rioting at the last debate?
Yeah, and I guess participating in acts of terror.
Yeah, acts of terror, yeah. So
Yeah.
and then the flag comes in and says, wait a minute, this is boring, so let me just give y'all something to do.
Yeah, it was. You couldn't have played that any better. But
Well, you know,
go
and I support. You know, I really don't try to influence people who to vote for, but just mainly to vote. And you know, today is October 8th, so what, we got 25 days left until the last day to vote. Last day to vote. If I can do anything in my life, I'm going to change that narrative for the next 20,000 whatever number of elections.
I posted that clip the other day.
So we don't get sucked into this election day stuff. And prayerfully, after this election, we'll normalize election. Republicans will continue to still oppress the vote. You know, that's what they do. This is nothing new. They've been doing it ever since they killed Lincoln and before they killed Lincoln. So, you know, and I'm not speaking out of turn. Go back and see why John Wilkes Booth shot Lincoln. All right. And that's the history that is written, you know, that we're still teaching that history. You know, a lot of history now we don't want to teach because it actually confronts some of the things that were written historically about America.
Right.
And tells the truth about some of the history about America. And so now we're calling that history un-American.
Right.
So
which is pretty hypocritical in a sense, oxymoronic, because those kinds of things are literally the principles and the foundations that America was founded on.
Well, we teach about the Revolutionary War.
Oh, right.
We teach about the Civil War.
Yeah, and all of the histories of the foundation of the country and of the revolution. Well, if you come from the Great Britain's point of view, what were those people?
Right. I'll give you an example. This is before you were born. Matter of fact, I think this is before Kimberly was born. So I worked at a place. It was very diverse. Now, there was no such thing as diversity training. There was no such thing as any of this stuff that has come along in the last few decades. But there's none of that. But there was some Polish guys, some German guys, some African-American guys. Oh, boy. Anyway, well, we decided, we were all young, 19 to 23, and we were having our children, buying homes. You know, it's a very good job. And we decided to have interchanges. And so each person would bring a dish from their culture. And so now that's diversity training, all this stuff. But we just knew we all had to work there. Mm-hmm. We needed to cooperate because the systems in which we worked needed us to cooperate. Mm-hmm. And we were all young enough that we did a lot of young stuff too. So it was, you know, but it just happened. It happened naturally because we were in close proximity.
Yeah.
And today we have so much close proximity. And if it doesn't happen naturally, then companies, schools said, well, then let's kind of manipulate it a little and teach these courses and classes. And now that's become un-American because we're attacking America and beating up America. No, because I'm as much, and you're going to hear me say this until I die, I'm as much American as any other person in America. This is not a Christian show, y'all. You need to know that too.
Yeah. And that kind of a bunch of stuff you just mentioned kind of made me think about something that was said in the debate last night. I'm not sure if you watched it to the end, but at the very end, they read the moderator read a question from an 8th grade student from a town nearby, because I think they were in Utah.
Yeah, Utah.
Yeah, an 8th grade student from somewhere in Utah or something, and basically to kind of summarize what the student asked, they says, well, if our leaders can't get along, then how can we as citizens get along?
Absolutely.
And I'm like,
and I don't think either one of them answered the question.
No, well, they don't answer questions. They use questions as opportunity to say what they want to say. But I mean, in media training, that's really what you learn to do anyway, because certain questions you don't want to answer and certain questions you don't need to answer. So you find the end within it and you kind of go. But
Oh, that's what I need, media training, because I'll say anything.
no, you probably, as far as what I've seen, you may never have media training, but you couldn't. No one would ever know.
Yeah, I need media training because the question was so powerful and so poignant. And then today, I'm listening to your mom and I. We were riding. I'm listening to breaking news, and I usually don't get into breaking news because every other story is breaking news. That's just
so much breaking news nowadays.
They say to get your attention, and it's like, no, the FBI has arrested 6 dudes for trying to kidnap the governor of Michigan and overthrow the government because she shut down for the virus. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty bad. They're going to overthrow the government in Michigan. They're going to kill. And these guys that came up with like a Mission Impossible type thing.
Yeah, it had to be.
Okay. They were going to blow up the bridge to distract law enforcement. Then she would be at her vacation home, which is on a lake, kidnap her, and they had a boat to get away.
Yeah. It's like, on one hand, when you see all of these movies, it's like, man, it's really great to watch. And then sometimes you think about it like, well, somebody is at home taking notes.
Well, they should have talked to Nat Turner or Denmark Vesey.
Yeah.
Or somebody from the hood.
Proctor.
If they'd have talked to one of them, they would have let them know it's always somebody on the inside.
It's always somebody on the inside. But bringing that up, it kind of makes me think about this thing that I keep hearing about. Something that you really never considered until now, or at least I never considered it. And once again, the question was answered, but it was like danced around. But in the presidential debate, the question was asked about what they call the peaceful transfer of power. And of course, Donald Trump, he said, well, if it's a fair election, then we know whatever. And then when they asked that question again last night, the vice president said, well, I'm pretty sure we're going to win. But they haven't gone ahead and conceded to the fact that it's like, well, if we lose, we just going to go ahead. And I'm wondering, like, well, what would happen if they say, you know what? No, this wasn't a fair election and blah, 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 blah. What kind of a thing or how far could this thing go?
Let me tell you exactly what will happen.
All right, let's hear it.
Exactly. He will join the millions of people that he's not supporting right now by sitting on the stimulus package, and he will be evicted.
Right. Now, here's the thing, though, because there is a possibility. I was reading this morning. There is the possibility where it wouldn't be like a whole, like, we're about to overthrow the government type thing, because naturally that's what you go to when you hear this kind of a thing. But it's more so as where they can contend it to the point of, not just November, but through January when the inauguration is supposed to happen. And then at that point, it's like, well, what do you do? Well, at that point, if this whole thing isn't settled, basically what happens is, and I read this, is then the line of succession begins until that thing is worked out. You're like, oh no, Pence. Well, no, because he's a part of the team that's under question. So if
Goes to Congress.
Yeah, so basically the Speaker of the House would take the office until they figured out what it is. And I guess now we're in a place where we don't know. It may not necessarily be Pelosi. It may be somebody else, because we don't know who's going to be in control of the House at that point. Right. But it was just something that I kept hearing them talk about, but I always wondered, well, what would happen?
See, the good thing about it is that there are groups out there who's been waiting ready for a civil war for years. 155 years later, 100.
Something like that.
Yeah. So those groups have been out there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And, the military ultimately has not been used in this country against its citizens of any other ethnicity. Though the National Guard, if you want to include them, have always been used against African Americans.
Right.
But they will kill non-African Americans, and those of us who grew up in the Kent State era, we know that. Yeah. And we knew, well, if they killed them, we're in trouble. Okay. Yeah. With all due respect to those families. So, and I grew up there, and we were actually being recruited then during that time as far as football, though, Kent wasn't one of the schools that was recruiting me. But it was one of the schools that people, local kids were looking at. So the dynamics are, just the scenarios. What he would want to do is get it to the court because he feels that that's where he would have the biggest opportunity. What American voters have to do is make sure that it's unnecessary.
Right.
And if Vice President Biden and Senator Kamala Harris gets the kind of a victory that I believe they can achieve, given the turmoil in this country, given the lack of cohesiveness with the coronavirus, we are 50 federated states.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have a democratic form of government, but we are a republic.
Right.
And those 50 federated states enjoy their sovereignty. And when they talk about freedom in the conservative movement, they're not talking about freedom for all Americans. They're talking about freedom so that the federal government does not interfere with my freedom.
Right.
Therefore, you get pro-choice and pro-life. That's when you get voters' rights interfered with by the federal government in the 1965 Voter Rights Act. That's where you get federal government interfering with states' rights in the 1968 Fair Housing Act, which all of those African Americans supporting conservatives and Trumps need to understand. At the end of his administration, it will almost cease to exist.
Mm.
All right. And so those are the kind of things when they don't understand systemic racism and want to erase the board because of the election of Barack Obama, President Obama, former President Obama, for some of us like Wakanda, always President Obama, don't understand the history and the nature of the beast and how it progressed over the years, how it has matured over the years, and the strength and power behind it.
Yeah, I was just watching that the movie with Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx last night. I think it's called Just Mercy.
Just Mercy.
And it literally shows that. Right. I mean, how it plays out in the criminal justice system, but that sort of a thing is like people couldn't imagine that it's true, but
and that's the dilemma. Perfect statement. Because this generation can't imagine redlining, can't imagine Jim Crow, can't imagine the things that were fought for by our foreparents. Maybe we fought, I don't know, but anyway. And coming forward, they can't imagine. Whereas the people who are suppressing the ballot, writing public legislation, they imagine it.
No, right. And I think the thing is you have to make the connection between things. Yeah. They may look different, but be the same thing.
Absolutely.
So it's like the same thing is happening. It just doesn't look the same.
Therein lies my argument against biblical values, people.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because this is like a huge thing, and it's so much bigger than I think people even understand. Because a lot of times Christians, and I guess I can't speak for everyone, but you hear them talk and you'll be like, well, I'm not really into politics and that whole sort of a thing, and they remove themselves from the situation. That's one group. But then it comes down to this, and a lot of times you hear people say, well, who is protecting the church more, or who aligns with biblical values, who aligns with Christian values? And my question is, well, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, for the values organizations, I know exactly what it means. Now I don't know which Bible they read. Okay, I know that they read the John James or the Rick James version. I don't know what Bible they read. And sorry to Brother Rick, lay Rick. He may not even written the Bible. I don't know, but they're written some Bible.
RJV.
They're written, yeah. I mean, they're reading some Bible. Okay, they're teaching it at their seminaries. Great men of God and women of God have been duped into it. And
many of us fall victim because of it.
we fall victim because we have abdicated our willingness to study, to show ourselves approved unto God. We have kowtowed to universities. We have kowtowed to philosophies and theologies. We have allowed ourselves to, like, it's like America. All right, it's much easier to say I'm a Democrat, so therefore I go vote this way. Or I'm a Republican, so therefore I vote this way. All right, so the Democratic leader says they're conservatives, they're racist, they hate you. So the conservatives say they're liberal, they're leftist, they want to turn the country into socialism. Neither one of those things are going to happen. We're not going to be socialists.
Right.
All right, okay? And systemic racism exists because of public policy.
Right.
All right? Or the lack thereof, sin of omission, sin of commission. Mm-hmm. All right? So conservatives, when they say biblical values, they're pro-life.
And that seems to be like end of discussion.
And same-sex marriage.
Okay, there's two.
Okay, it's really only one, but they thought, unfortunately, LBGT community gets thrown in because that's another way to have a fulcrum to hit people over the head.
Right.
But the Bible, the King James Version, has a litany of sins, a litany of things that represent righteousness over unrighteousness. Matter of fact, I was in a class with my good friend Dr. McMickle one day, or we were in a meeting or something, and I said, well, you know, when I read Matthew 25, I think it is 24, 25, and Jesus talks about feeding the hungry and visiting the people in jail and so on and so forth. And then he says, if you don't do these things, you're not fit for the kingdom.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I know salvation is only through Christ, but did Jesus kind of throw a little something in there?
Yeah.
Well, because, again, systemically, that's eschatology, so therefore that does not apply to right now. Yeah, you can't apply everything else in there if you don't want to apply everything that's in there.
Right.
Okay? All right? In a sense that the principle is that there should be compassion for those people. I had a friend of mine call me. I won't mention his name. He's a friend and loving, loves God, loves me, loves everybody. But he was sincere because he wanted to know how do we help the poor without involving the government? It goes back to what? Conservative values. I'll feed you, but I won't free you.
Right.
Because the only one that has a fulcrum big enough to deal with Bull Connor, and Bull Connor is alive right now, and I just won't call his name. But he does have a position. It's not the president. I'm not talking about the president. All right. Okay. All right. Bull Connor's job was to make sure that the black people stayed in their place.
Right.
When they got out of their place, to make sure that there was enough pain inflicted upon them to remind them of their place. And to support white supremacists and racists, probably called Ku Klux Klan back then, in their destruction of black lives, Negro lives, colored lives. Yeah. So law enforcement has always been one of the tools to support racism. That doesn't make law enforcement people racist, but that's been one of the tools. How policing is done in our community has only advanced from dogs and hoses to vest and military gear.
Right. So, just so we clear, if somebody was to come up to you today and basically say, "Hey, you know, Pastor, I'm a voting person. I really want to vote, and I'm not at all happy with what's going on in this country. But I'm really torn between who I'm supposed to vote for because just my Christian values, my biblical values tell me that I need to go this way or that way." What would you say?
I would tell them, first of all, who do you think that's running for office is the closest to your values. And then they would share that with me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I would say why. And they would say pro-life, or they would say pro same-sex marriage. They would give me that pro and that con.
Right.
And then I would say to them, well, then if that's what you believe that Christianity represents to you, then you follow that. Mm-hmm. But I would say that's not what it means to me. I don't elect people based on that kind of stuff.
Right.
All right. Why? Because I'm electing a flawed person.
Right.
All right. Who cannot meet the standard that I can't meet either of Christianity. So I'm electing them not based on their values. I don't need that from them. I need my pastor, my imam, my rabbi, my minister. I need them for my values.
Right.
What I need from them is policy that reflects my values. And since my values go, I don't even deal with the bedroom in my values. Mm. Yeah, that's pro-life, pro-choice, same-sex marriage, no same-sex. No, that has nothing to do with when I look at public policy. Mm. I'm just like them. When I look at public policy, how is it going to afflict me?
Right.
Then as a pastor, I got to take it a step further. I wish I could just deal with the fact that it's afflicting black people. But now, no, because I do love the Lord, I've got to look at how that policy is afflicting all people. Mm. Then I got to remember, I'm in the daggone United States of America with a doggone Constitution. Then I'm actually living on God's earth and breathing his air. And you know what I discovered the older I get?
What's that?
He got enough air for everybody. And the earth is big enough for everybody.
Yeah.
So I haven't spent my life preaching against stuff. I've spent my life preaching the love of Christ. Christ is the hope of eternity, and he's the only way to God. Right. So biblical values for me right now is up in flux because I don't know what Bible they're reading. Mm. I really don't. Because if it excludes what police are doing to me, that's not my Bible. If it excludes what this country is doing to children in cages, it's not my Bible. See, if I can't speak against those things, how can I speak against that thing?
Right.
God is consistent in his love. It's unconditional. What they're preaching is conditional love. We love unborn babies. We love the sanctity of marriage, man and woman. Then they had to love opioid people. they jumped in there because of the opioid crisis, so they started loving one more group. Now, we'll feed you. We'll give you clothes. We'll what else? We'll come in stadiums and sing Kumbaya and cry about reconciliation, but we will support public policy that is totally anti-black.
Mm. Yeah, that's what I.
So don't show me your love based on your crying about this or that. Show me your love based on your vote.
Bars. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So, kind of to wrap up the debate, what was your takeaway?
Please don't ask me.
And I'm sure you heard by now that what Trump said. As far as a virtual debate, he's not going to waste his time.
Oh no! I mean, come on. I mean, if I'm him, I wouldn't do it either. I mean, I got to have my strength. Okay, I'm a bully. I'm bigger than everybody else. I'm smarter than everybody else, and I ain't gonna have nobody hit no button on me.
Right. He tried to keep his home field advantage.
Well, somebody on his team should. And I would send him an email if I had his email address and let him know I'm praying for him and his wife and all the 34 members of his team.
I don't know. He said I could be immune now.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe my prayer got answered. He got healed and immune. But or the prayers of all of us who've been praying. A virtual debate, he wouldn't be sitting in front of a computer. They would be, and we need to do a virtual. I had thought about that today. Man, audience, I'm so sorry. I'm just so slow. But I thought about doing a virtual debate today and setting it up virtually for us. Maybe we'll do we'll come back and do another one. We might get our couple out this week. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, it's already Thursday. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. But so what was people want to know. What was your takeaway?
Well, given that in my interpretation of the debate, you know who I think won, and I can't say that anymore because I want to be serious. But I think Senator Harris was tremendous in the sense that she got her message out. Now, neither one of them answered the questions, okay?
Right.
So, and that's my problem, okay? That's why I don't obey certain rules, okay? Part of the debate is at least answer the question a little.
Yeah, for sure.
At least a little, okay? I heard former Senator Nina Turner on today, and she said, shoot, tell him you're going to pack the doggone court and fess up to it and tell him, let's go after it. I'm like, she from Cleveland. I said, the senator's from Cleveland. Okay, she know how to go down with it, okay? But I don't think they've come to that conclusion. And if you haven't come to that conclusion, then say, we haven't come to that conclusion, all right? Because I know they'll just use it for fodder, but nobody cares but the conservative folk who've been crying to get the court to overturn Roe versus Wade, now Obamacare, which is the Affordable Care Act, and that's what I mean. She missed so many points, and Biden missed so many points. When they began to repeal the Affordable Care Act back in 2017 and 18, do you know what they did, Republicans? They literally grandfathered their staff and their people into the existing, not the restricted, Affordable Care Act. If it was so bad, and see, that's the problem with putting people in positions who are not constitutional scholars, putting people on the Supreme Court who are not, left or right is not my issue, okay? All right, some days I'm left, is that left? Yeah. Some days I'm right, okay? All right, who knows what I might be, okay? But at the end of the day, you want at least constitutional scholars.
Right.
Okay.
I don't disagree, but it's just like the downside of that constitutional scholar is when the intent or the view is less than honorable of other people, then all of that prowess and knowledge is weaponized in a sense.
Well, and you always hope that a person's character and consideration for the honor it is to serve on the highest court in the land will kick in.
No, yeah, 100%.
That's what you hope. And my point is that, and this is rarely ever mentioned because all they want to do today is denigrate him. President Barack Obama was a constitutional scholar.
100%.
Okay. And that's why he could put together the Affordable Care Act. And if the Democrats had, as Senator Turner said, any backbone, the first one he put forth was much stronger than the second one.
Right.
The watered-down version came from the Democrats fussing and fighting. Okay, so that's why they haven't been able to totally dismantle it. So what did they need to do? Pack the court with conservatives who will now overthrow it, not based on principle, but power. So 20 million, I don't know the exact number, but that's the number they're throwing out. Forgive me for not doing that research before I got here. But 20 million people will lose their health care. I don't know how many million people with pre-existing conditions. And I remember when we had a significant number, we only have about 15 staff people now, but when we had a significant number of staff people, that was the biggest issue in our budget because we had 2 people out of 70-something people with pre-existing conditions.
1.2 million.
1.2 million will lose their health care? Oh, well, shoot, they way off on the number they've been quoting.
Or maybe, I don't know, I'm reading something.
No, it could be 1.2 million. If it's 1, it's too many, but 1.2 million will lose their health care November 11th. because of them packing the court, not because of the principles. Why? Because this president, if he wins, is going to recast the Affordable Care Act because he can't come up with anything better.
Yeah.
And then call it Trump Care. Not Affordable Care Act. He literally is going to name it after himself.
Right.
Okay, they named it Obamacare so they can do what they do so well. Demonize it, demonize it, demonize it. American people who what? They got to work hard, take care of their family, raise their children, go back to work, come home, so what? We're a Democrat or a Republican. All right, not fully aware of the issues. All right, because the constrictions that existed in a new policy fix them.
Yeah.
You don't destroy the policy that had great intent, and that is to provide health care for as many Americans as possible.
Ooh, 133 million Americans with pre-existing conditions.
Yeah, so that's the number. Okay, yeah. I knew there were some astronomical numbers. Again, thank you for having someone who can work this thing. But,
whatever I read before was way off. 21 million people could lose.
I was okay. I had a clue. I like it when I have a clue. Y'all need that. I get a little excited whenever I have a clue. I'm sorry, but whenever I have a clue, I get a little excited. But so when people tell me your biblical values, it's a biblical value for 21 million people to be kicked off health care because you have packed the court and have power. Yeah. That's what I mean about the debate. That kind of stuff. The American people don't understand. And neither one of them said that on stage.
Right. Yeah.
And they don't have the pundits, the radio networks across this country that are spewing out these lies every day, trying to make sure that their base is scared of everybody. All right? You walk in a place now, and in certain places, people are terrified. I'm like, I'm scared of y'all. Y'all the ones with the AK-47s.
Well,
now I know we got them too. All right, but I did. But let me say this too, and I know this is way off topic, but I had to go to Rocky River Municipal Court this week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't for
Rocky
me.
River.
Wasn't me.
Man, you want to know something crazy? I think I was coming home from Saginaw. First ever speeding ticket. Speed trap. Rocky River, man. They got me. My first ever speeding ticket. It's been at least like 10 years since I had a speeding ticket, but I know that sounds crazy. I'm old enough to have for that been 10 years. But man, I'm coming home from Saginaw one time. I got caught in speed trap. I got my first speed ticket. Rocky River. I'll never forget. But go ahead.
Well, you don't want me to give him a shout out?
Who, Rocky River?
Yeah.
No, man, forget that.
Okay, all right, no shout out.
No, whatever. Go ahead.
No, but I went in, and the officers were just so kind. Went up to the clerk was kind, the bailiff. Everybody was, regardless of the outcome, it was just a good experience. I'm like, wow, because you have your preconceived notions whenever you're going in someplace. And,
yeah, man, every time.
And I'm fairly well known in certain places, but I still don't get treated like it. So I was just shouting out their people, because a lot of times when something bad happens, we're gonna call 3, 5, and 8. Not me, but other people, because I'm gonna be right here on this microphone.
Yeah. But
when something good happens, we don't say anything about it. So,
no, that's true.
Yeah. So you got a speeding ticket, I got a pass.
Man, it was, how you coming off the turnpike, it's a 70 mile per hour. You don't even know.
Break it down, son. Break it down.
No, man, I'm not even a speeder, man. That was so fluke, man. Probably all this. I haven't gotten many speeding tickets, but the speeding tickets that I do got, I wasn't even speeding. The times that I should have got speeding tickets, they let me go. So I guess it all balanced out at the end. But
the scales of justice,
No.
Plus you're a black man, so you got to watch them scales.
No, man, that's been my prayer, and it's so far so good. Lord, don't even let me have any interaction at all with law enforcement unless it's in a completely different kind of context. Right. Like as far as me getting pulled over, anything like that, I don't.
Right. And that's so tragic and unfortunate because, for the most part, it should be an encounter based upon the infraction, and everybody should walk away alive.
Yeah.
And there are times when it doesn't work for them, and there are times when it doesn't work for us. And unfortunately, the 6th leading cause of death for black men in America is by police.
Wow. Mm.
Yep.
I mean, I guess a natural segue, too. So I believe it's true that this is kind of a brighter news that Jacob Blake is out of the hospital and moved to like a rehab facility or something like that.
Right.
That's good to hear. On another note, completely opposite end of the spectrum, it's been reported that Officer Chauvin is out on bond. And I didn't want to say anything before, but I don't think this is, I don't know. I didn't see the report. All I saw was the headlines. But so I could be completely misspeaking here. So I don't know if they reported like when this happened, but I heard months ago like that this was the case.
Yeah. Well, it was $1 million bond, and I don't know how it is in
non-cash, so they probably had to just put up like a house or something.
Yeah.
But they're not gonna run.
I don't know about that either. But anyway, somebody put up the $100,000. I know they've been raising a lot of money for that kid up in Wisconsin who shot those people. And that's the other thing. I mean, you know, these guys in Michigan that was going to kidnap the governor, you know, really point blank, felt she overstepped her bounds. Matter of fact, the quote is, all things must come to an end.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens in their situation.
Well, here's what I know about the federal government. Now, you know, somebody can pardon them.
I mean, you know, based on Patriot Act and all that kind of stuff, they got some serious stuff that could be going down.
No. When they read the charges for 40 to 45, I mean, it was like, you know, and if you ever walked in a federal courthouse and you're the person, you walk in and you look at the board to find your courtroom, and it says the United States of America versus C.J. Matthews et al. And I'm like, man, they dropped an atomic bomb on Iwo Jima. What would they do to me? I'm like, please don't drop no atomic bomb on me. I'll go. Just take me. Don't drop no atomic bomb. I'm like, you read that, buddy, and I don't know how white people read it, but I know as African American, when I read that, it was like, oh no, it's the end of the world.
No, I mean they could take them to like Guantanamo Bay, that kind of stuff.
You know, we will see. We will see, because, you know, again, this is a test, because the FBI director contradicted the president in saying that the biggest threat to America as far as domestic terrorism is not those groups he's talking about, but the groups he told to stand down. Right-wing militia groups, and that's been a thing for a long time. And see, we domestic terrorism are new terms.
No, that's what I was just about to say.
But domestic terrorism has been going on ever since we stepped on this continent and in this country.
No, that's why I'm like, wow. The fact that they're even calling that, mentioning that, that's like,
right,
you know,
major. And so it'll be interesting because, you know, it would be unfair to say that these men are the president's men, okay? But some of the, and that was one of the issues in Alabama where the governor just apologized to one of the family members from the four young ladies the Collins family, young lady who was killed. The sister survived. I don't know her married name, but the sister survived. And so the governor apologized, but the lawyer is saying, you know, come on. You know, this woman has lived all of these years with all this trauma, and no one has ever stepped up to the plate to say here is some consideration economically. And so the lawyer is still arguing, but much of his argument is based upon the rhetoric at the time of George Wallace.
No, 100%. And that was the crucial point about what was happening, not just at the debate, but this kind of thing is ongoing. You know, it's like
well, when the vice president, I mean, you know, and again, he's one of those. I'm pro-life. You know, he proudly said that. But when Senator Harris said that the Breonna Taylor family did not get any justice, and he said you're undermining the criminal justice system, and he said this very purposely.
Mm.
And this is again racist.
Yeah, I have faith in the criminal justice system.
I have faith in the criminal justice system. All right? Okay? All right? And so when the president, all right, would not deny racism and the racism of the militias and call them out on stage, now Fox has cleaned that up, and he's tried to clean it up when Tim Scott came back and said, come on, man.
Right.
I'm one of y'all. Okay? All right. After that, they tried to do some capitulation. So for him to say, I have faith in the criminal justice system, and I served as the foreman of the grand jury.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'll say this many a time. I have a plaque. I have all the stuff that went with it, but I've done a whole bunch of crap. So that has nothing to do with why I'm saying this.
Right.
I served as the foreman of the grand jury. I know how that works.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And for one or two or more of the grand jurors to come out and say, hey, don't put this on us. They did not present us with a murder charge on anybody.
Right.
We could only rule on what was presented.
Mm.
Okay? And that's all a grand jury can do. The grand jury makes no determinations. It's either a true bill or no bill based on what is presented by the prosecutor. Now, you can ask questions and ask things, okay? But that stuff he presented, now we're discovering what? He did not, based on his interpretation of the law, present any murder charges.
Yeah. It's so disheartening.
That's why Senator Harris said her death did not get any justice.
Right.
Why does that exist, values people? It exists because public policy cleared those police the moment they entered the door and Miss Taylor's boyfriend fired and hit that police. Every bullet after that was a legal bullet based on narrow interpretations of the policy. Yeah. And everybody who knows anything knew that the moment he fired, those officers were going to walk. And the only reason he charged them with endangerment of other people's lives was to try to create some sort of public sentiment. Every ruling in that case was political. And there was no justice, as there rarely is. And I heard him say, though, so Chauvin, you in trouble. Chauvin, Shabu, Shabba, Shabba, Candy, Oh, I'm sorry. I'm about to go some of our roots on you. But anyway, he's in trouble.
No, I did. But every time, okay, they say, okay, yeah, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll drop that. But let's be clear. And then they'll slam and go into a whole thing about the rioting and talk about these people. And
but
it's
then,
like, man.
see, again, Senator Harris, Joe Biden, 96% of the protests are what? Peaceful. Black Lives Matter has not been violent in any protest.
Every time it's almost like, okay, we can't deny this, but we'll go ahead. But then we're going to use this as an opportunity.
Yeah, but if you look at Fox News.
Oh, I don't look at Fox News.
I have to look at it all. See, I have to look at it all. I've been listening to all of them for 30 years, okay? And I don't have no choice. Why? Because when I was on the debate team, well, I only participated once because I think sports started or something. It was boring. I quit. But anyway, it's not boring. It's a great thing. I should have been a little bit more mature. But anyway, I was in middle school. The thing I did was learn the other people's argument.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I spent more of my time. I knew my team would know our argument, so I spent my time learning their argument to find the loopholes or find ways to attack. And so I've always been a person to try to inquire, to say, okay, is there validity in this biblical values thing? All right, because years ago I had to settle that in my spirit because I went to a conservative evangelical undergraduate school, conservative evangelical seminary.
Man.
You know, and so I had to settle that in my spirit, and thank God for Dr. Bill Myers, Dr. McMichael, Dr. Moss, Kane Hope Felder, you know, I mean, all the professors that I got to sit up under and the late Dr. James Cone, and just interact in those academic settings, and to come away and say, okay, Lord, now, I don't belong to none of this stuff. Never will, and, our church probably be bigger if I just belong to something, okay, maybe. But I refuse to belong to any of this stuff because all of it is polluted. Now, I know it's going to be polluted because it comes through us.
Right.
And that's the thing people got to realize.
Yeah.
All right.
As soon as we
now we should be moral. We should have solid and strong character. So I'm not saying that we should not be out there willfully sinning.
Okay.
All right. But at the same time, I'm bringing it through a conservative prism. I'm bringing it through a liberal prism. I'm bringing it through a far-right, feminist prism. All right. So now I'm looking at it and I'm bringing it through an LGBT prism because I love the Lord too.
Right.
Okay. But all of those are man's prisms. But God chose man.
Yeah.
The body of Christ. So I'm like, whoa. No, Lord, I'm going to step back and preach the kingdom.
Yeah. Because
the kingdom is big enough for all of us. I'm going to step back and love everybody. Now, the way I punch people sometimes, they may not. I don't mean no harm. I just come up in the 60s. We punch people, okay? That's better than what y'all doing. Y'all killing each other, okay? At least we live the next day to punch each other again. Y'all can't take
you live to fight another day.
Yeah.
This is what makes you a man. When I was growing up, this was all the protection we needed. You win some, you lose some. But you live to fight another day.
So y'all can't take a punch, you gonna shoot me, huh? All right, that's I hear you. Well, it's a lot easier and cleaner, though. Your hand don't hurt. I don't know.
I mean,
Then I wasn't a big puncher anyway in the beginning. I was trying to be a smart kid, and they just beat up the smart kids. And I'm like, oh, no, this ain't working. Shoot. Going home, my mother told me, get good grades. I'm like, Ma, you don't understand. Dad, they out there beating me. You better get out there and fight, boy. Dad, they killed me. So on one hand, you had a mother who's educated. On the other hand, you had a father who's like, no, you ain't no chump.
Right. Yeah, we grew up in a completely different type of thing.
Yeah, I guess you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could be the smart kid, the athlete, and everything. I would just settled on being the athlete.
Yeah. All right. So let's kind of switch gears a little bit. Couple things. We're seeing how coronavirus is affecting NFL. But interestingly enough, I just read, I think yesterday, that the Dolphins are going to be allowed to have a full stadium, 65,000. So it's like, on one hand, we're rescheduling games because teams are having outbreaks. But on the other hand, we're all in, baby. Let's go back to business.
In one of the worst coronavirus states in the country. And again, those 50 federated states with no leadership. See, therein lies one of the purposes of the federal government. All right. So you and Derek, y'all fight. You and Derek. Okay.
All right.
So I come in and say, wait a minute. Stop. Don't kill each other. All right. And so here's what makes sense. Okay. Yeah. So that's the leadership Senator Harris was talking about. Not that the president has to tell everybody what to do, but right now everybody doing what they want to do. Everybody's doing. Here's what the Bible, where there is no vision,
people perish.
People live in chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos brings about the perishing. So, because there's no willingness at the top to give leadership, and I think it's less because of conservatism and more because he don't want nothing to do with blue states. He's only the president for half of America. And that's clear. Yeah. Stimulus packages is being held up because them blue states, they already ruined it. They don't take care of the money, so they're demonizing blue states. Why are they demonizing blue states? Because that can justify in their basis mind this inhumane treatment. Why? Once we demonize, we can treat you any kind of way. So if a black person is 3/5 of a human, you say, why do you always keep saying that? Read your Constitution. pre-Bill of Rights. 3/5 of a human, we can rape their women, we can hang their men, we can make them work for nothing.
Yeah.
And I know young people don't like to keep hearing that.
No, it's
That is the roots of today's activities.
No, 100%.
In this country.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there's Africans doing the same thing to Africans, and there's Europeans doing the same. I mean, that spirit, and then again, that's what I mean about spirituality and spiritual warfare and biblical values. That spirit is anti-Christ.
Mm.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Look at anti-Christ behavior in the King James Version and see what's associated with it. Not just the Antichrist in end times and eschatology, but John says there's Antichrist among you, or they're always there, who will what? Subvert the gospel. It was Gnosticism in his challenge, but today it is biblical values.
Mm. That's wow. Some people are not gonna like that, but hey, it is
No.
what it is.
You cannot tell me you're preaching the gospel and hate me.
Facts.
I mean, it's real clear
Facts.
that you have to even love your doggone enemy.
Right.
We got to love China.
Yeah, it was. I learned.
Ow! And for those of us on the other side, we've got to love Putin. And I know this is going to get some of y'all. You got to love your president.
Yeah.
See, that's
A lot less people was praying over the past week or so. A lot more people was just watching, saying goodbye to see what happened.
Well, see, and that's the beauty of being a kingdom person, because I pray mightily for the health of the president and his wife and those 34 people within their circle. And we haven't been on, and we've been on this thing, and we had other stuff to do. So I haven't seen the news to see if it went up to 35 yet. But my sarcasm is real. I don't apologize for that. The fact that I choose humor over other kinds of, it's enough serious people out there.
Yeah, man.
And plus, it keeps me fresh and vibrant and energized, and because then when I finish having fun, I go to sleep. I handle all my business though. I get everything done I need to do for the Lord and for your mama.
Yeah.
Well, I better not say to your mama. I get a lot of her stuff done.
Yeah. So, huge win this week. The Brownies brought it home in true Browns fashion, I should say.
Well, you know, me and Ray Houston. Ray is my dog, so when we was up by 100, I went and texted him.
Oh, that'd be the thing. Everybody on social media. Oh, we up 20 points. So we go in there, we talking all kind of junk. The lead starts dwindling. Now we sitting back like, oh no.
Then when it got to 3, I sent him a sad emoji. And I don't even know how to send the emoji, but I figured it out.
But man, they held on. And it's clear as ever that, man, OBJ still got it.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, when you have players, you have home run players. Like that means that they're at any moment they can make a huge play and create a huge play. That's always a game changer, and he's clearly a game breaker.
And the beauty is that the Browns have as many as any team in football.
No, right. And you got him, you got Jarvis, you got arguably the greatest defensive player in the NFL, and Myles Garrett. Good to see him back dominating. I mean, man, that dude is just.
And you know what? I was listening to some of the sportscasters. They forgot about what he did to the Pittsburgh quarterback.
Hey.
And I don't mean forgot in that sense. It was like, he's a good kid, but we know that happened, but he's a good kid. And I'm like, man, good kid, bad kid. We're not trying to hire good kids and bad kids. We want football players. This country reduces everything to the good and the bad. And I just never have understood that. I remember being in a setting with some of my evangelical friends, and they wanted to ask a superstar from Ohio State to come. And they knew I knew him, and so they would ask, well, what kind of Christian is he? What you mean, what kind of Christian is he? He's a Christian. But is he a I'm like, shut up. I wouldn't ask them to come if y'all was the last people on earth.
Yeah. Well, man, it's good to see them get it done. Big test this week. What you think?
Big test. Indianapolis has a good defense, but here's what I like about the potential of the Browns right now is each week the test is developing character. Because last week when they came back within 3, okay.
No. And that's a critical thing.
Absolutely.
To be able to do that. Yeah.
Because they lost more. Well, the momentum's not the same right now, and that's the other thing because, I watched Aaron Rodgers just
I didn't see it.
I watched Aaron Rodgers make the boy jump off sides every 5 minutes. And the reason why he could do it because he's got his pre-snap stuff is just so good that he could draw them off because what? No crowd noise.
Yeah.
And the fake crowd noise, it's just not the same.
Right.
And so, but clearly momentum had shifted team-wise, and but they came right back, and he had missed on the series before when they went 3-0, and everybody was like, oh, no. He had just missed OBJ.
Yeah.
I mean, just overthrew him. Because he was open all. He's gonna be open all day because they cannot double him and double Jarvis Landry simultaneously.
Yeah.
Okay? And then we got these 2 new tight ends. I mean, and I think the coach, again, the whole team is maturing at a rate, to me, that's ahead of schedule. All right? Like Urban Meyer's the second year was his best chance to win the championship. I ain't going to tell you what happened because I was at the game, but he won his first year, which was a year early when they won.
Because wasn't his very first year still the sanction year?
The sanction year was his first year.
Because, I mean, they was undefeated.
Yep.
Couldn't even go to a bowl game.
Nope.
Yeah.
So, I really like what I'm seeing. I think what they've done, though, is something I said, and people won't like this because I watched Jerry Jones come into the league, take over Dallas, but he already had a solid organization. Hank Schramm had already built that, okay? And they built an organization. Now, they ain't been able to win, maybe. I don't know what's wrong with them. But they built a powerful organization. I watched the American Football League and the National Football League join together. Watch Bob Kraft. You don't have to like him. But watch him build a powerful organization.
Yeah.
You see it with the Rooneys and Pittsburgh, powerful organization. Where you see powerful organizations, eventually you're going to get a winning football team.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And that's unfortunate about the Lerner family is Mr. Lerner passed.
Yeah.
It wasn't his son's interest, and that was his right. Shoot, man, come on. Got that much money, and you do what you do. So I think now with the Haslams, I think we got a good ownership group, and they brought in what seems to be a good management team with Mr. Berry and the rest of his squad.
Mm-hmm.
And now it seems like they have a coach that can work with the talent we have. And our young quarterback may continue to develop. They didn't try to pull him outside of himself the last few weeks. They worked to his strengths, and we can't minimize that because they're building around his strengths, which is smart because we watched Harbaugh do it up in Baltimore.
Right.
We were watching Arizona do it with Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to see him play as much. So I need to get a chance to check him out.
It's very, and I think even if you look at Russell Wilson, if you look at Pat Mahomes, their coaches are saying, wait a minute, here's their strengths.
Yeah, but them whole different.
I went to them.
Whole different players right there.
I went to them in a different way.
You talk about Russell Wilson, you talk about Pat Mahomes. That's a whole other conversation than a Baker Mayfield.
And I understand that, but in any given lifetime of teams, your Pat Mahomes out of your 32 teams is how many?
Oh no.
Yeah, so
that's not.
So the rest of your teams in the playoffs, the rest of your teams that are winning don't have that.
No, 100%.
Okay, so they're playing with a quarterback that's 1 level or 2 levels down. All right, but they're still winning. They're still there. Okay, and then sometimes at some point, some of those guys mature to a whole nother level.
Right.
Okay, and then bam, they can get it done.
Yeah.
All right. Tom Brady is the GOAT. according to many people,
Ah.
especially your little brother. But, you know, his skill set was not that of an athlete.
Right.
Okay? But he can get out the way. He can make them plays, and he was always surrounded with dudes that would catch that ball, and no matter how they got hit.
Yeah. That's kind of why I feel bad for Cam right now. It's like, man, give him something.
Well, he still has Edelman.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't have a lot, but he still has the one thing that he does have.
Yeah, you got Bill Belichick.
I mean, you know, and I think I shared this on one of our podcasts. You know, they asked Bill Belichick, you know, how does it feel? You've been around a long time, and you've been coaching football a long time. You've seen everything. How does it feel with no fans in the stadium? Practice.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a great.
We let Bill go, and he went up there and he did all he did. We let Marty go, and he went on there and did what he did. His son is coaching now, you know, somehow. So Stefanski, if he stays, that'll be great. But if he leaves, we know he's going to go coach the Super Bowl.
Yeah, basically.
That tradition is gone. So the Browns under new tradition. We're writing new history and new traditions, though although our history of the Browns is really good, you know. We had this rocky transition, but prayerfully we're there.
Yeah.
And tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Did you seen the past two games?
Yes. I pray. Yes, I do.
It's tricky. That game, what game would that have been? 3? Yeah, they won. Miami won game 3. That, I mean, obviously they had to win game 3 though. They lose game 3, they getting swept for sure. But so that win kind of, you know.
Well, that win validated a good team.
Right, and a great player.
And a great player because Jimmy Butler did to LeBron. Y'all ain't going to do this to me.
Yeah.
He went off. And but it also exposed something.
What's that?
It exposed the L.A. coach a little.
Oh, well, at the same time, though, this could be kind of what people questioned the whole time of when even LeBron and them was in Miami. The whole question was, well, is Spoelstra even a good coach? Or what is his ability? And he's kind of proven that he's a very good coach.
But he wasn't then.
Maybe he had to go to it.
He wasn't then. And that's some of the argument around the league since we are talking about sports, which we love. Let's talk about race a little.
Okay.
Because Doc Rivers is gone.
Yeah. Well, he landed on his feet.
Oh, within 7 days. Yeah. Because when Brian and them was down there, it wasn't the coach, it was the team. The win the other night and the close games is as much the coach as it is the team. In game 3, LA's coach was out-coached very badly.
Yeah.
Now, I certainly don't want to take anything away from Jimmy Butler and the overall effort in a potential sweep situation because they stepped up to the plate in a way that was just – I enjoy it, even though I'm an LA person right now because I'm only a Cleveland fan. But if we ain't there, I got to go someplace else for that time being. Although I wanted LA to win, I wouldn't mind Brian to get in the sweep. I really enjoyed the game. I enjoyed Jimmy Butler. I enjoyed the way the other team played. I enjoyed their aggressiveness. I think Crowder was a little bit flagrant sometimes, but, you know, you're getting pushed around, you push back.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to be said. It'd be really tough for them to win 3 in a row. So here's the real question then. You've seen the games. At this point, who is your finals MVP?
Yeah, you going to ask me that? It's LeBron James.
Oh, okay. Because a lot of people would.
That was my league MVP.
Well, that goes without saying. If LeBron's been the league MVP for how many years now? Undoubtedly.
You know, I think that not just his activism, all right, but I think his persona is such that there are a lot of voters.
It's off-putting.
There are a lot of biblical values voters.
I guess we got the title for today, Biblical Values.
There's a lot of biblical values voters who just.
I like that. That's a new thing. Maybe it'll catch on.
Well, I think that some serious people from both sides, all sides, because I think there's conservative, there's liberal, there's moderate. I think all those theological groups need to get together and help Christianity out, because right now they're giving it a bad name. Okay, because American Christianity is now in the toilet.
Yeah.
All right, because you cannot talk about love and morality and then embrace the current state of this country.
Because it's always...
And I'm not just talking about the president.
No, because it's always love, but it's always but this, but that.
Yeah, but see, and that's why the Greek is so powerful.
Right.
And giving you several expressions of love.
Right.
You know, and so agape love, which we believe, and I was taught by them, is the highest love, unconditional love, the God love, the love that brought Jesus to the world. And I know it's hard to practice because then you got to love China. All right, you got to love black people, Black Lives Matter. I mean, you got all that stuff is in that unconditional love.
Right.
And loving me, keep your food to yourself.
Yeah.
You know, all this food all of a sudden coming into our community, and people need it. I know that. But free up the policy that would stop mass incarceration, because the bill is on your table. Let every American vote. The bill is on the table. Let go of the stimulus packages. The bills are on the table. Stop worrying about the cost, because you haven't worried about it thus far. And out of the president's own mouth, he does not care about the budget. That's what he said. He's not worried about the budget. All right? So you want some unconditional love, do that stuff. Repeal Obamacare if you want to, but then what are you going to do with 21 million Americans?
Right.
I know what Christ would do. I know. I heard you. He healed him.
Yeah.
All in one day to see a guy like yeah. He could do that, but the church in America can't heal one person. Well, I think conservatives don't believe in the miracles, right?
Oh.
Cessationists.
Yeah.
True conservatives are cessationists. The gifts ended with the printing of the Bible. Now, if I'm wrong, y'all call me. I'll come back next podcast and correct it, but I do think y'all taught me that.
Yeah. So, I'll be interested. It'd be great to see LeBron get this number 4. And, see, in those first 2 games, you kind of have to say, yeah, AD is the finals MVP. But and then we'll see how they look tomorrow. But I guess kind of bringing that team together.
LeBron, he would prefer AD to get it.
Oh, that's probably. I mean, I'm not sure how much longer he plans on playing, but that's gonna be his recipe for success. Let AD dominate, and then I'm gonna just quarterback this thing.
Well, if you and Rondo, again, he didn't score until the third quarter.
Oh, he's had.
But he was so proficient.
Oh.
I mean, and again, they're talking about LeBron's age. Okay. All right. But to see him there, I haven't seen JR get in yet, so I hope he get in a little bit. Maybe he got there late, but he get the ring.
No, he's a great team guy, man. He's great.
Oh, man, I like JR.
It's good to see him out there.
Yeah, they got a nice squad. They need another piece. They're going to win the championship, but they need another piece.
Oh, yeah. Next year is going to be a totally different thing. I don't know what the NBA's plan is yet or anything like that, but, man, you got to think about it. You got KD and Kyrie coming back. They just got Steve Nash as a coach. You don't know what Giannis is going to do. You don't know what the Clippers is going to do. Next year will be very interesting as far as the NBA goes.
Well, again, for those of us who that's a part of our entertainment life, and I'm not crazy, which is why I can root for Miami or L.A. or Dallas or other teams. Being a Cleveland Browns fan, a Cleveland baseball fan, a Cleveland basketball fan, and being that for many years, it's just, it's great. I'm challenged in my personal philosophy because of the COVID and people playing and being that close in proximity to each other. That kind of is a challenge for me. But then the sports fan in me is watching the games and rooting them on.
Yeah.
that's been good. But the COVID, again, is spiking. I think it's up to 45,000 cases a day, new cases a day. And my prayer is, and those of you who are intercessors and prayer warriors, has to be to turn this thing in a different direction toward what the models are currently predicting, because every time somebody goes down, that's another family. And to dismiss that to the fact that, well, if we hadn't closed the borders to China, then it would have been 2 million people. Still, that's no excuse. And just for a little fact, they didn't close the borders to China, number one. They restricted certain groups that were coming in from China, while another group, several other groups were still coming in from China. And if the tracing is accurate, which we don't do on purpose, because if we did tracing and contact, which some of the countries are doing, which is why their numbers have constantly gone down and haven't gone back up, is that contact tracing. And that's what Senator Harris was talking about, a national plan, not President Biden intruding on your life, but a national plan where all the governors come and sit down and say, okay, what can we do together to end this thing? Not blue governors, not red governors, and I don't know what the color is in between, but having enough of them sit down and say why. Because if we're doing contact tracing and there were 34 people who caught it from whatever event the president had, then we know that 34 group, who have they been with?
Yeah.
Who have that, like all the Joint Chiefs are now quarantined. Okay. So who have they been with? And so on and so on and so forth. So at least we're not restricting people as much as we're identifying people, so that we have these little alerts in our phone now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that if we know that, then bam, we know not to go near anyone, or we know not to let certain people come near us, instead of like me right now, staying away from everybody. Had somebody stop by yesterday, I hadn't seen in a long time, and they meant to, and I'm like, they were kind of taken back, but don't touch me. I don't know where you been. I ain't seen you in 2-3 years.
No, yeah. Hey, man,
and that's hard. It's real hard. It's real hard. A friend of mine was telling me today, they had something special, and a person came, and that person was sick, but they were sick with something else and didn't know it. Bam, 40 people exposed.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I guess that's our time today.
Oh, man, this time goes so fast. Well, I guess it does me having fun, and I just couldn't think of having fun with nobody better than my son. I said today, what did I say? Oh, yeah. Well, this is what I said. I said, I'm not trying to be young, just relevant. He's young and relevant, so you get it all.
I guess. All right. No, I guess I can say this. I don't know, you got any plans for the weekend? I know you got some work to do, got some preaching to do, but I preached for the first time last week in quite some time. It's probably like the biggest gap probably since I started. Felt good. After being preaching every single week for a certain time, then you got out of it. It's like, oh wow, it was a totally different situation, but it felt good to be back, and so I just thought I'd share that.
Oh yeah. I went 12 months one time. No, I preached every Sunday when I was there. I forgot about that.
Oh no, this is what we can do. Now I was talking to some people today, and they saying you should start creating a buzz. So I think we've reached a point where we can at least let people know. We don't got to give them a date. We let them know what we got coming, and that is, we have been working on a brand new app. So if you're watching this, you're the first person to notice that we have a brand new mobile app, and it will be coming to you very soon. More details to follow, but as TD Jakes would say, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready.
Oh, I thought you said a buzz. You was going to have a fly in here. I just knew. I'm like, a buzz. Oh, he got the fly thing. Good. Come on, fly. Come on. I just knew you had the fly. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. The buzz is what he said, not what I was thinking.
All right. Until next time, everybody be blessed. Be blessed. And make sure you go ahead and vote. Don't wait until the last day.